So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is a I Take the Lead webinar about Networking 101. This will be kind of a short and sweet webinar about how to get the most out of your networking efforts and your referral teams, networking events, and the like. So Beth Kopic is actually doing the presentation today. She is our membership coordinator for our Greenwood Village, Southeast Aurora, and DTC groups. Beth has over 18 years experience in networking, and her business in real estate relies primarily on networking. So I've actually muted everyone's microphones at the moment, and I'll open those up for question and answer as soon as the presentation is done. We also have a chat box at the bottom of the screen. If you click the chat button, you're welcome to ask questions at any time during the presentation through that as well. But otherwise, like I said, I will unmute everyone after the presentation and open it up for questions. So with that, Beth, I will hand it over to you.
Thanks, Alan. So I get asked a lot, like, is networking worth it? And do I need to do it from people? So that's kind of, Alan and I had a connect not long ago. We were talking about my response to that, and his brainchild was this webinar. So bear with me today. Hopefully we're going to have some fun as we go along. Feel free to type out your questions or jot them down and we'll answer them at the end. I started life out 18 years ago after I graduated college in '99. And after I graduated, I started out in marketing and PR and state government and politics in Arkansas. So while it was more lobbying, it was definitely networking to push an agenda and get my agenda to influence laws at the state level. So that's kind of where I came from. From there, it was in fundraising, retail management, and most recently in real estate. And I hope this is my last stop. But my elevator speech when I meet people is that real estate is a contact sport, and the only way I'm going to win is by relationships. I don't get those relationships without you guys. So I have to be good at networking, and I'm hoping to be able to share some of those tips and tricks with you today. Just from a basic foundational level, if you're not familiar with networking, the dictionary definition of networking is to interact with other people to exchange information and develop contacts, especially to further one's career. And looking at who RSVP'd for the webinar today, I believe that if we're not all entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, we work in an industry where we rely on a good team of people to mastermind and to refer us business. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about as we go through today. Robert Kiyosaki said it best. He said the richest people in the world look for and build networks. Everyone else looks for work. Networking is not working. I mean, I do go on a lot of coffees. I have a lot of lunches and happy hours, but it's not all fun and games. This isn't a business plan that works for every personality. So it really, at its foundation, we're really looking for, instead of a job, something that's fun to do, interactive to do, and that we get to do with others to build our businesses. And I thought that Robert said it really well. A lot of people ask me why they should network or why I network. At its very basic level is to build a team of power partners to grow my business. I'm not going to be able to do that unless I create trust-based relationships with the people that I network with. And frankly, not everybody is someone I want to get into a relationship with. So it's okay to be selective about who you are bringing on as your power partners. If you're networking with folks who maybe aren't sending you business right away, because this does take time and patience, at its very basic level, you're able to mastermind with people and find out how they grew their business, and in turn pick some skills up from them to grow your business. I've been networking with real estate for a year. It took me 11 months before I got my first referral from networking efforts. So it does not happen overnight, but I'm building those trust-based relationships. Now the person who sent me my first lead has sent me 2 subsequent leads. So once you have that trust established, it does pay off and generate business for you. I get asked a lot, well, how do I do it? What are kind of the do's and don'ts of networking? So first off, be prepared. And what I mean by be prepared is when you're going into a networking event, think of a couple different topics before you go in. First, how long am I going to stay? Am I going to be the first person to arrive and the last person to leave so that every person that shows up I meet? Or am I going to go in and I have 30 minutes of time to be there, and what am I going to do in those 30 minutes to get the most value of my time? And then stick to that plan. When you go in with purpose. Who do you want to meet? For my industry, I'm fortunate that I have mortgage providers that I work with. But when I was brand new, I would walk into a networking meeting saying, I need to meet a mortgage lender today. Or maybe someone in my network, is their strong set isn't providing veteran loans. So I go into a networking event saying, I need to meet a mortgage lender who specializes in VA loans. For you, it may be that you need to meet an auto broker or an insurance rep, but go in with purpose and then ask the meeting organizer, hey, who's here that's an auto broker, because I really need to get them into my network today, and then seek that person out. Know who your ideal client is and be prepared to talk about that in a concise manner. When you're talking about yourself, your client, or your business, be humble. There's a time and a place to be braggy, but when we're networking, you really want folks to get to know you and be genuine so that they want to warm up and form these relationships with you. People laugh when I say this, but you almost want to think about it as if it's business dating. You're not going to meet somebody and immediately get married, but you are going to date a little bit and see if it's a relationship that's going to work. Some of the don'ts. When you walk into a networking event, don't be a wallflower. It's very easy to walk in and maybe you weren't the first person there, so people have already started. You came in maybe 45 minutes into a group networking event and people have broken off into their cliques. It's hard to walk up and introduce yourself into a circle, but take the chance. I mean, like I alluded to earlier, this isn't something that's for everybody. If you are terrified of speaking in public, networking may not be the best step, but it will, if you're willing to let down your guard a little bit, it will help. I have seen people at networking events who present their business. They've never given a public speech before, but it was one of the most exhilarating things for them to do, that they got up and they talked about their business, and their business flourished after it because it helped them create some confidence. When you're introducing yourself, don't ramble on and on and on. Be concise. Try to have an elevator speech that's 30 seconds or less. I have 2, depending on the audience that I'm talking to. One is that I am in a contact sport and relationships are how I win. The other one really focuses on who my ideal client is. So I use those interchangeably depending on what group I'm in front of. And it's good if you have a couple of those prepared, practice them. I was at a networking seminar not too long ago where the lady presenting said it's okay to have it scripted out. Take a notepad with you, and it is okay to read your elevator speech. So what if someone thinks it's corny? At least you're on point and your message is the same every time. And then finally, don't be salesy. The key to this, the key to networking events is that you find someone that you want to continue the relationship with. You don't want to just inundate them over the head constantly with what you do and hard sale close them. You're there to grow your business, not to sell to that one individual. And then at the end of the event, follow-up is key. I take a lot of cards. I take my cards and pass out. I know there are some folks, and I take the lead, who use the Shuffle app, and they will text their card to someone. A lot of people have virtual cards now. Whatever works for you to pass information, and then within 24 to 48 hours, follow up with the people that you were most impressed with. I do it with everybody. I follow up a thank you card. Thanks for taking the time to meet me. I really enjoyed talking about whatever it was we talked about. I was just at a conference last week, and in my thank you card, I said where we met. You know, we were at the marketing seminar. I loved your ideas, or something along those lines, so that it is personal, and not everyone follows up. So please make sure that you're doing that. It will set you apart. After they've had some time to receive the card or the thank you note, if it was someone who you really thought made an impression, reach out and schedule a coffee or a lunch with them to see how you can take the relationship further. That is about a 15-minute presentation on networking. I'm sure you guys have all sorts of questions. I'm happy to answer them for you.
I'm going to go ahead and unmute all the mics here. So there we are. Does anybody have any questions for Beth?
Well, thank you very much, Beth. Appreciate that.
No problem. Sorry it was like fast and dirty.
That's how it should be.
Right.
There's one thing that I do want to add just real quick, and that is under being prepared, be able to articulate who your ideal client is. Because if somebody asks, who you're looking for, you want to try to avoid that generic, well, anybody and everybody, or anybody that has a pulse or anything like that. The more specific you are, the more memorable you are, and the more likely that person is to reach out to you afterwards and even refer business to you. So especially if you can specifically articulate what type of client or referral you're looking for. So
Right.
Again, just wanted to throw that in there as well. So,
and thank you for mentioning that, Alan. I had it in my notes, and I skipped that paragraph. But definitely, I know in my industry, a lot of people think, well, I help anybody with skin. In reality, we all have our specialties. So when someone asks me about my ideal client, I hone in on a very specific region that I do business in. And also be prepared for when someone asks you, how's business? Like, I have 4 different responses for that, depending on what segment of the real estate market they're looking for. So it's okay not to just verbally vomit all over everybody. But when they ask you a question, if you have like a 5-minute diatribe to respond with, ask them a subsequent question. So if someone were to ask me, how's the market? I would say, are you looking to buy or sell? And then based on whether they told me, I would say, well, what part of town are you in? Because some parts of town move differently than others. Really kind of hone in and ask questions to further your conversations.
I have one quick question. Based off of giving referrals, when you have, like, I work for a roofing company, so it's a little bit easier sometimes for people to refer to us, and sometimes it's a little bit more difficult for me to refer to other people. So in that sense, what are good steps and methods to take in order to have a good relationship, business relationship with somebody when they have a little bit more of a difficult business to refer to?
So I think that's where your follow-up meetings are key, because it's really easy at a networking event to be like, oh, I really like Danielle. She's great. We could have a lot of fun over drinks together. And then when we go out and we have coffee or we go to happy hour or whatever, then you find out what my specialty is. I'll use myself as an example. There are 25,000 realtors in Denver.
Right.
So you've got a lot of choices about who you're going to recommend to your clients. If someone, you guys go out, you certify a roof, they're ready to list their house. You've got a lot of choices on who to recommend.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're specifically working with someone in Southeast Aurora, that's my backyard, and that's where I do most of my business.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make more sense for you to tell Joe, hey, Joe, here's a realtor that I'm very confident in. She lives in that area. Interview her. Where if your other friend lives in Golden and they do most of their business in the Golden Boulder area, that may not make sense.
Sure.
So as you form relationships, you may find someone. I alluded to earlier, there's lenders who do a really awesome job with the veteran program, and then there are lenders who really don't do a great job with that program. So when I talk to vets, I'm more selective about who I refer to them. You'll just, as your network grows, you'll find people that fit specific needs.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well done. Anybody else have any questions? Beth, can you go back to your contact information slide real quick, please?
Sure.
I just want to put that up there. So please feel free to reach out to Beth. She's a phenomenal realtor. I've actually had the privilege of working with her as well. She's also, if you have time, ask her about, she has a really cool IRA real estate investment product that she's working on right now that I'm hoping to cajole her into doing a webinar on too. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
All right.
But she does a phenomenal job, and she's very, very, very knowledgeable. And so definitely, if you know anybody who's looking at buying a home, listing a home, or if you yourself are looking at buying a home or listing a home, reach out to her because she's really, really very knowledgeable about the metro area and about real estate. So, so on that note, again, this is put on by I Take the Lead. If you're not a member and you're looking for a quality referral team, we actually have 26 teams across the metro area. I will be following up with everyone after the webinar here and sending out the replay here later today. And again, following up with everyone. So
thank you so much, Alan. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. I really enjoyed it. I hope you found some benefit out of today.
Thank you, Beth, very much. All right, everyone, have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.